Happy birthday, son. Now that you're 18, you can smoke, vote, get married, join the service, and finally be considered an adult. But don't you dare think about taking a sip of that devil's nectar. As we're all fully aware of, the legal drinking age is 21 in the United States. Underage drinking is obviously nothing new to the United States, yet why is it that we feel the need to strive to keep the drinking age at 21? In most European countries, the drinking age is set at 18. France and Spain have an even lower age of 16. So why is it that the U.S. feels the need to set the highest drinking age in the world? The reason people believe we have such a problem with underage drinking is due to the fact that it is seen as more attractive. According to David J. Hansen, Ph.D., professor of sociology at the State University of New York at Postum, when we raise the drinking age to 21, which incidentally is the highest in the world, it makes drinking more attractive to young people. Dr. Hansen cites research that shows before the age amendment was made that alcohol consumption by college students rose as they drew closer to graduation. Dr. Hansen quotes, Then what happened was when the law mandated age 21 in every state, we discovered that for the first time in history, for those younger students suddenly began drinking more than older students. It suddenly made it more attractive and it drove drinking underground. Dr. Hansen also claims that when you prohibit drinking legally, it pushes it in places that are uncontrolled, like fraternity houses. These are the places that promote drinking games and excessive, rapid consumption of alcohol, which puts people in danger of getting alcohol poisoning, and that can be fatal. Research suggests that the reduction in teenage alcohol-related fatalities that some point to as a reason for keeping the drinking age at 21 is in fact as a result of nothing more than those fatalities being shifted to an older age group, people ages 22, 23, or 21. Some people also argue that the drinking age should be kept at 21 because the brain doesn't finish maturing until around age 25. But in that case, we should also raise the voting age and the military age. We have to be consistent. A recent study by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention found that half of all high school students between the ages of 12 and 16 who participated in the survey said they had consumed alcohol in 30 days prior to the survey. Pro-21ers argue that since the passage of the National Minimum Drinking Age Act in 1984, the act has saved over 17,000 lives on the highway since 1988. While it's true that the highway fatalities have dropped since 1984, it isn't necessarily because we raised the drinking age. In fact, the downward trend actually began in 1969, just as many states began lowering their drinking ages in recognition of the absurdity of prohibiting servicemen returning from Vietnam from enjoying a beer. The 1984 law was a backlash against those states. As Mirren and Tettelwall explain, 1969 was the year when the several landmark improvements were made in the accident avoidance and crash protection features of passenger cars, a more likely explanation for the drop than a law passed 15 years later. While bringing this information up to date can be tricky, MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, has claimed that the higher drinking age is responsible for a decline in annual alcohol-related deaths from 26,173 in 1982 to just 16,885 in 2005. Opponents and myself counteract with the idea that the improvements of highway design, structure, and more modern safety features such as airbags and seatbelts have contributed significantly towards the number as well. Boston University today did an interview with Barrett Seaman, current president of Choose Responsibility, a nonprofit group devoted to spreading awareness of the dangers of excessive and reckless alcohol consumption by young adults. CR's main goal is to lower the drinking age to 18, combined with better education about alcohol use. When BU Today asked Mr. Seaman what led him to believe that age 21 was the right or wrong direction for this country, he responded by comparing his college experience to the experience of current college students. He states that when he began doing research on current college campuses over binge drinking, he found that currently students are set out to get completely drunk. They start by taking shots and pre-gaming in the dorm rooms before going out and continuing to drink at parties. Something, he says, wasn't an issue back when he was in school in the 60s when the drinking age was 18. It wasn't seen as such a big deal to get drunk because he could do it legally at the age of 18. Seaman also claims another part of my eureka moment was when I visited McGill University. As you know, McGill is in Montreal, where the drinking age is 18. But they also have, in any given year, 2,000 Americans enrolled as undergraduates. I wanted to see how the Americans were there behaved as compared to their compatriots in American schools, and I was really struck by the relative civility I found up at McGill. It just wasn't a big deal. They could go down to the bars in Montreal and drink, or go to the clubs, or they could have a case of beer delivered to their dorm rooms. It was an open culture. As we're all aware of, most underage drinking takes place on college campuses. Some experts argue that in order to solve this problem, the solution should be to lower the drinking age to 18. More than 130 college chancellors and presidents have signed a petition initiated in 2008 in support of the idea. In Alaska, a bill was recently introduced that would allow the active members of the military to drink at the age of 18, with the rationale that they're old enough to fight for and die for the country, they're old enough to have a beer. So, thank you.
Good job.